When I stood in front of the full-length mirror in the bridal suite, adjusting the delicate veil that fell like a dream down my back, I couldn't shake the knot twisting in my stomach. The room smelled of fresh flowers and expensive perfume, like a promise of eternity. But that morning, eternity felt fragile. I had no idea that minutes later, my soon-to-be in-laws would walk in with a wedding gift that would shatter everything, a $3,000 monthly bill and a leash for their spoiled dog. Yes, you heard me. They wanted me to pay rent to live with them and walk their poodle every day. That was the moment I realized sometimes a real fairy tale begins the second you rip off the veil and run. My name is Sarah Hartley, a 32-year-old corporate attorney at Hartley & Partners, the firm my mother, Eleanor, built back in the 90s in Boston. We weren't just lawyers, we were the kind who took down frauds, defended the vulnerable, and toasted multi-million-dollar contracts with champagne. My mother raised me on ambition, black coffee, and zero tolerance for nonsense. She always said, "Sarah, never let anyone steal your dreams, even if you're wearing a white dress." My life was a straight line: Harvard Law, partner at the firm, one of the best attorneys in Boston. Everything was planned, until Nicholas Reed walked in. Nick was 35, with dark wavy hair and a smile that could charm anyone. He was a finance executive raising money at a children's hospital gala when we met. I fell for his confidence and generosity. 6 months later, when he proposed by the Boston Harbor, I said yes without even thinking twice about his family. The Reeds were another world: his father, George, a retired businessman; his mother, Vivian, a silver-haired woman who spoke like every word was a command. And their poodle, Princess, who seemed to matter more than I ever could. Still, I ignored the red flags because Nick loved me. That was my first mistake. On my wedding day at the Four Seasons Boston, everything looked like a dream. My gown was from a famous New York designer, my bouquet of white roses sparkled with pearls, and friends stared with envy. My mother, elegant as ever, stood proudly by my side. Then the door opened. Vivian walked in, holding Princess, with George behind her carrying a paper envelope. Vivian smiled coldly. "Sarah, darling, we need a word before the ceremony." George added, "We've decided to give you a special arrangement. You and Nick will live in our mansion, but under some rules." I raised my brow. "Rules?" Vivian handed me the envelope. "Our co-living contract. You'll pay us $3,000 rent monthly, it's less than the suite's real value. And since Princess needs daily walks, you'll handle that too. Nick's busy, and we're too old." My stomach turned. "Rent? To live with you? And walk your dog?" I looked at Nick, who had just walked in with his head lowered. "Nick, you knew about this?" He mumbled, "It's just a suggestion, Sarah. Mom thought it'd work for everyone." Vivian smirked. "And quit your job, darling. Family should be your priority, not law." That was it. I tore off my veil and threw it on the floor. "You actually think I'll give up everything, pay rent, and become your dog walker? This wedding is off." George tried to calm me. "Sarah, relax, it's just a misunderstanding." But then my mother stormed in. Eleanor Hartley, with fire in her eyes, said, "A misunderstanding? You tried to buy my daughter and turn her into a maid. Sarah, get changed. We're leaving." Nick begged, "Please, Sarah, we can talk." But I was done. I stripped off the gown, pulled on jeans and a t-shirt, and walked out with my mom. That very night, Eleanor gathered our legal team and filed a lawsuit against the Reeds. They ended up covering every wedding cost, hotel reservation, and even damages. Nick called several times, but I never answered. Months later, while working on a major case, I grew close again to Logan, an old colleague who'd always been there for me with his jokes and steady presence. One day over coffee he said, "Sarah, you've always been the strongest person I know. It's just a shame you learned too late that Nick never deserved you." A year later, I married Logan in a simple beach ceremony. My mother stood proudly by my side as waves rolled in behind us. There were no contracts, no spoiled dogs, no twisted rules, just love, respect, and peace. I finally had the life I wanted, a real partner, a career I loved, and a family that always had my back. The Reeds and their poodle were nothing but a memory. Sometimes, the best, happily ever after, comes after you rip off the veil and walk away. Sometimes life feels like a messy court case. Just when you think you've solved everything, a new piece of evidence shows up and flips it all upside down. After that ruined wedding day, I told myself it was over. But the truth? My heart was still with Nick. Not that I didn't care for Logan. He was amazing, always supportive, always making me laugh. But Nick was different. His smile, his deep eyes, those nights we stayed up talking about our future. Every time I closed my eyes, it was his face I saw. I thought time would heal me. Into my marriage with Logan, life had settled. We lived in a sleek apartment in downtown Boston, with windows that framed the city lights. Logan had become a full partner at the firm, and we worked on big cases side by side. Our evenings were filled with dinners, movies, sometimes nights out with my mom, Eleanor. She always said, "Sarah, you're happy now. Logan is perfect for you." I'd smile and say, "Yeah, Mom." But deep down, something was missing. One night, while Logan slept, I stood on the balcony scrolling through old photos of Nick. Why couldn't I let him go? One day at the firm, I was digging into a financial fraud case that required background on Nick's investment company. At first, it was work, nothing personal. But then I stumbled on something strange, old emails between Nick and my mother. At first, I thought I was seeing things. Eleanor and Nick? What? I searched deeper into the archives. Right after that charity gala where Nick and I first met, he had reached out to her. The first email read, "Mrs. Hartley, it was a pleasure meeting you. Sarah is incredible, but I have to say, you inspire me too. Could we grab coffee to discuss opportunities?" Her reply, "Nicholas, thank you. Yes, tomorrow at the cafe near the office works." From there, the emails escalated. Work talk turned into personal jokes, and then, something more. One read, "Eleanor, I can't sleep without you tonight. When can I see you again?" The timestamp was 2 months after Nick proposed to me. My heart sank. While I was planning my wedding, he was secretly seeing my mother. My role model, the woman who raised me to be strong and independent, was part of this betrayal. That night, I drove to her old brownstone in Back Bay. When she opened the door, her smile faded at the sight of me. We sat in the living room, books and family photos staring down at us. I placed the folder of emails on the table. "Mom, what is this? You and Nick?" Her face drained of color. She tried to deny it. "Sarah, it was just business." But when she saw the proof, tears filled her eyes. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. After your father died, I was so lonely. Nick told me you were brilliant, but then he looked at me like I was still alive, still desirable. At first I thought it was a joke, but he made me feel young again. I could barely breathe. So the wedding? His family? All a cover for this affair?" She shook her head. "Not exactly. Nick did love you, but when he met me, everything shifted. His family never approved of you, but he insisted. When we started seeing each other in secret, we couldn't stop. After the wedding collapsed, we were free." My stomach turned. I left without another word, walking through the Boston rain, haunted by images of Nick and my mother together. Maybe that insane wedding offer had been planned, to push me out, to free him for her. Or maybe Nick himself had asked for it. I couldn't make sense of it. When I got home, Logan was waiting. I told him everything. I expected anger, but instead he just held me. "Sarah, the past is the past. What matters is that you're here with me now." His warmth steadied me, but I couldn't erase the images, the words from those emails. Days later, I called Nick. We met at the same cafe where we first crossed paths. He looked wrecked, hair messy, eyes red. "Sarah, I can't believe I'm seeing you again," he whispered, reaching for my hand. I pulled away. Why, Nick? Why her? Why my mother? He sighed. When I met you, I loved you. But Eleanor, she was powerful, experienced. It started as attraction but grew deeper. My family knew. That contract? It was their way of stopping the wedding. His words cut deep, sharper than I imagined. But in his eyes, I saw something raw, regret. It's over with Eleanor. When I knew you found out, I ended it. Sarah, I still love you. My heart ached with confusion. I left him in that cafe and cried in my car. Months passed. Logan and I tried to move forward. I forgave my mother, though our bond was never the same. Nick left Boston for New York. Sometimes he texted, but I never replied. And yet, at night, when the world was quiet, I thought of him. 2 years later, I became a mother. My son James, with Logan's bright blue eyes, filled my life with love. I had a husband, a career, and a child who gave me purpose. But sometimes, walking through Boston streets, I'd imagine Nick's face in the crowd. I'd wonder, if that absurd contract never existed, would things have been different? Maybe everything unfolded for the best. Or maybe not. Life is tricky like that, like a story with twists you never see coming, secrets that never fully stay buried. And some part of your heart never really closes the case.